Hello and welcome back. This is another fifth grade math video. And in this video, we're going to be practicing multiplying two-digit numbers by two-digit numbers. Okay, here is the first one we're going to do together. We're going to take the number 67 and we're going to multiply it by 11. So we can do this two different ways. We can either use the standard algorithm, which I will show you, or we can use kind of what we call a box or area model, which I can show you as well. Then you can decide which of the two methods you like the best. The first one is the standard algorithm. So that means we put 67 on top and 11 on the bottom. Now you can switch those numbers if you want because they both have two digits. However, most people like to stick to putting the bigger number on top just so they don't have to think about, oh, can I or can't I? They just kind of try to keep it the same. So first I'm going to multiply the two numbers in the ones place. That would be 7 times 1, which is 7. Then I'm going to multiply these two numbers here. So that's the number in the tens place at the top times the number in the ones place on the bottom. 6 times 1 is 6. So that would be our first row of multiplication. Once you're done with the first row, what you would want to do is cross off this number in the ones place at the bottom. And that just tells you that you've already multiplied everything on the top by the number that's in the ones place on the bottom. And then you need to add a 0 down here to show that now you're going to be multiplying by a number that's in the tens place, and that would be the 1 on the bottom. So now we're going to do these two numbers, 7 times 1, which is 7. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Then you're going to multiply the two numbers in the tens place. That's 6 times 1, and then we're going to get 6. So the idea here is you multiply everything on the top by the number in the ones place on the bottom. Then you multiply everything on the top by the number in the tens place on the bottom. Our last step is to add those together. So 7 plus 0 would be 7. 6 plus 7 would be 13. And then 1 plus 6 would be 7. So our answer here would be 737. So here's what this would look like if we use the area model. So I'm going to delete this one and show you the area model. The area model works by taking the two numbers and splitting them up by representing their values as if you're writing them in expanded form. So since 67 represents 6 tens, which is 60, and 7 ones, we're going to go ahead and write it like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and create a box under it with two columns, one column for the 60 and one column for the 7. Then the second number I'm going to split up as well. A 1 in the tens place represents 10, and a 1 in the ones place represents 1. So now we have another row to add. If you've seen some of my previous videos where we did this kind of model, we only had one number off to the side. This time we have two numbers off to the side. So the number that goes in this box here is the number you get when you multiply the number on top by the number to the side. So I'm going to use a little trick of multiplying numbers ending in zeros. And if you're not sure what I mean, you can check out some previous videos I've done on this. 6 times 1 is 6. And then I would add the two zeros, the 0 from the 60 and the 0 from the 10. So that's going to give me 600. That's my first partial product. And I'm going to go ahead and write that over here as well, because at the end, we're going to add all these partial products together. So the number for this box over here is the number on top times the number off to the side. So 7 times 10 is 70. So again, I'm going to go ahead and put that here. Then the number down on the bottom left is going to be the number up here on top, which is 60, times the number out to the side, which is 1. So 60 times 1 is 60. So I'm going to add that right here. And then the only box I have left is for the number on top of that box and then times the number onto the side. So that's 7 times 1, which is 7. So I'm going to put that 7 here. My last step is to add up all these partial products. So in the ones place, I would have a 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. So that would be a 3, and I'd regroup that. And then I'd end up with a 7 here. So either way, we ended up with 737. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to take 44 and times 10, multiply it or times it by 12. So for this one, I'm going to use the standard algorithm. That means I'm going to put 44 up here at the top and 12 down here right under it. First, I'm going to multiply these two numbers together, 4 times 2, which is 8. And then I'm going to multiply these numbers together, which is also 8, 4 times 2. So that is my first partial product. Then what I'm going to do is cross off the 2 because I'm done multiplying 44 times 2, add a 0 down here to show that now I'm going to multiply 44 times a number in the tens place, and I'm going to start multiplying that. So 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 1 again is 4. My last step is to add these together. So 8 plus 0 is 8, 8 plus 4 is 12, and then 1 plus 4 is 5. Final answer to this one should be 528. Okay, here's our next one. For this one, I'm going to show it using the area model again. So I'm going to take that 65 and split it up into 6 tens and 5 ones and what those values are. So 6 tens is the same as 60. So I'm going to go ahead and write that here. And 5 ones represents 5. So now I'm going to go ahead and make a box under it with 2 columns, 1 column for the 60 and 1 column for the 5. Now I'm going to take 85 and split it up. So 80, or an 8 in the tens place, represents a value of 80, and then 5 ones represents 5. So now I need to multiply to fill these boxes. The box on the top left would be 6 times 8, which is 48, and then I would add those 2 zeros to the end. So this is 4,800 as my first partial product. Then if I go just to the right, I'm multiplying 5 times 80. So 5 times 8 is 40. And then I would add the 0 from the 80 to the end. So this ends up being 400. On the bottom left, we have 60 times 5. So 6 times 5 is 30. And then I would add the 0 from the 60. So this becomes 300. And then in the last box, it's 5 times 5, which is 25. So I'll go ahead and put that here. My last step is to add all of these together. So that means I'd have 5 ones, 2 tens. Now I'd have 8 plus 4, which is 12, and 12 plus 3, which is 15. So that would be a 5, and I'd regroup that over here. And 1 plus 4 is 5. So the final answer to this would be 5,525. Okay, here's our next one. We're going to take 47 and multiply it by 89. So for this one, I'm going to use a standard algorithm, which means I'm going to take the 89 and put that on the top, and 47. Now, again, you could have done this the opposite way and put 47 on the top. Both numbers are 2-digit numbers, so it doesn't really matter which one you put on the top. However, most people like to just put the bigger number on top so they don't have to think too hard about it. So 9 times 7 is 63. So I'm going to put a 3 here and regroup the 6. So if you're like, oh, what is she doing there? Whenever you multiply in the standard algorithm, you get a 2-digit answer. Let's draw it like this. Let's say you get a 2-digit answer. The number in the ones place goes down, and the number in the tens place goes up and gets regrouped to the next place value. That's what that looks like. So now what I need to do is multiply 8 times 7, which is 56, but I need to add the 6 that's been regrouped. So we're going to add that. 6 plus 6 is 12, and then that would be 62. So again, now we have another 2-digit answer. So that means the 2 that's in the ones place goes down here, and the 6 gets regrouped to the next place value. If there's nothing to hold it up, in this case there isn't, it's just going to fall right down there. So that first partial product is going to be 623. So let me go ahead and erase some things here. I'm going to take that away. I like to erase these once I'm done with multiplying by one of the numbers. Scratch that out because I'm done multiplying by 7. And for sure, you have to add a 0. So you don't have to delete things the way I did. You don't even have to cross off the 7 if you don't want to, but you definitely have to add a 0 to show that your next partial product is being multiplied by a number in the tens place. So now we're going to do 9 times 4, which is 36. So that 6 comes down, and that 3 gets regrouped to the next place value. Now we're going to multiply 8 times 4, which is 32, but I have to add the 3 that's been regrouped. And then when I add that together, I get 35. So let me replace this with 35 to show that the 5 goes down and the 3 gets regrouped to the next place value. There's nothing to hold it, so it's going to fall straight down and land right here. Our last step is to add these together. So that would be 3, that would be 8, 11, and 4. So the final answer here should be 4,183. Okay, here's going to be our last one for today's video. We're going to be using the area model for this one. So that means I'm going to take that 83 and break it up by its values. An 8 in the tens place represents 80, and a 3 in the ones place represents 3. So those are going to be my values I'm going to write on the top, and I'm going to have 2 columns to show that. For the number on the side, I'm going to take 37 and break it up into its values of 30 and 7. So it has 2 rows and 2 columns. That box on the top left is going to be 8 times 3, which is 24, and then add 2 zeros to that. So that's going to be our first partial product, 2,400. And this time I'll go down instead of going to the right. If I went straight down, I'd be multiplying 80 times 7. So 8 times 7 is 56, and then add a 0 from the 80. So that'd be 560. Now to the top right, 3 times 30 is 90. So I'm going to add that 90 here. And then for that one on the bottom right, that's 3 times 7. So that's 21. So I'm going to add that here. Now I'm going to add all these up. I'm going to have a 1 in the ones place. That's going to be 9 plus 2, which is 11. And 11 plus 6 is 17. So I'm going to write that like that. Then I'd have 4 plus 5, which is 9, plus 1, which is 10. And then that's going to be a 3. So the final answer here should be 3,071. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in another video soon.